me tell you what the FBI has done since I got there. 8,276 federal arrests to 820 kilograms seized of fentanyl. That's enough to kill 250,000 people. Over 3,000 firearms seized, 350 gang cases, 3,000 cases against violent
well, that's not my question. We know that you...
Well, you asked if I was weaponizing the FBI, and I am not. I'm giving you the hard, concrete examples of the men and women putting handcuffs on bad people, doing harm to our children and innocent Americans. I do not see weaponization.
You have placed on leave FBI employees responsible for the investigation of January 6th. That sounds political to me.
I have not placed anyone on leave who has not violated their ethical obligation or their oath to the Constitution.
So if they were investigating January 6th, you believe they were violating an ethic obligation?
Nope. I think the common theme here is you putting words in my mouth, and I'm not going to tolerate it, nor will the men and women of the FBI.
Well, you did place on leave an analyst responsible for investigating Russia's meddling in the 2016 election. Is that politicization? Is that retribution?
No, not if she broke the law or the ethical guidelines. I don't know which case you're talking about, but that's the standard. And we will hold ourselves inwardly accountable, and we will not be strayed from our mission because people think we are politicizing the Bureau. If you want to talk about someone who was attacked by a weaponized Bureau, you're looking at him. And now he's the director of the FBI, and he's cleaning it up.
All these celebrities, Jennifer Lopez, Beyonce, Oprah.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
You're going to look an audience in the face and you're going to tell them that if you vote for Donald Trump, you may not ever be able to cast a vote again. Who believed that? Who believed that coming from Oprah? Truly, who believed that? This is the kind of stuff that alienates an electorate, that alienates a vote or a voter. Because the freedom that you tell them they have, you try to confiscate morally by letting them know you ain't worth a damn unless you vote the way we say you should vote. Who's going to go for that in a general election with an economy rife with inflation, with over 12 million people coming crossing the borders, with people wondering about their dollars? The dollars that they earn, the dollars that they have in their pocket, the value of that dollar dissipating before our very eyes. But in the same breath, you're telling them that you got to take even more money out of their pocket to finance immigrants that come all across the border illegally at the behest of the Democratic Party looking to secure a voting bloc. Did you think that would work? Did you think that would work?
Why would you want Oklahoma students exposed to thoroughly debunked election conspiracy theories in the classroom?
Well, look, I've seen all those headlines, too. And you know, here's the reality. Look, President Trump should have won the 2020 election. You know, you look at things like the ballot dumps, you look at the mail-in ballots, you look at the voter fraud, you look at the manipulation by the media in foreign countries. And look, what we've got in the standards are facts. We want critical thinking students. We want critical thinking Americans. We want them to look at the data, look at the statistics, and come to their own conclusion.
Oh, the liberals are going to be pissed. Listen, I didn't have time to blow dry my hair because this shit's good. Trump doesn't want Washington, D.C. to be Washington, D.C. anymore. He wants it to be Washington, D.A. Is that my eyeliner running from the shower? Oh my God. Anyway, and if you don't know what DA means, it's a District of America. I needed the liberals to absorb the America word. Okay. At first he was talking about the Gulf of America because you can't drill in the Gulf of Mexico, so he wanted to change it to America so he can drill. You liberals didn't know that, did ya? Nah. District of Columbia. That just doesn't make sense to America at all. Nothing against you Colombians, but America first. Our President of the United States has his reasons on doing what he's doing. All of you that are on here saying this is unnecessary, this is very necessary because remember, Trump made us a promise to put America first, and that's what he's doing. This is gonna be good. I love Donald Trump because he's just making these liberals' heads explode all over the internet. I gotta go do my hair.
This is the first time I'm hearing this phrase on TikTok, but I could use context clues and understand what it is. So, funny story, I'm scrolling on TikTok, you know, minding my own business, just getting lost in the videos, and a white woman pops up in my algorithm and it's titled Black Fatigue, and I'm like, this should be interesting. Now, this is a creator that I've really grown to respect their videos. Basically, in her video, she's calling out the Black community for different ignorant things that we do. And it's not just her. I've seen a lot of white people on this app kind of come out. It's almost like, raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by Regina George type of videos. And that's what they're doing toward black people. Here's the thing. The videos that I've personally seen is not racism. It's accountability. It's one of those to where they are tired. They are fed up to where they have opened their camera and they start confessing the things that agitate them about the black community. And because we have gotten to that point, you know who I blame? The black community. I mean, for one, the actions that they are mentioning is clearly from the black community. Black people in the comment sections are just like, this is racism, this is this, and this is this. I blame y'all. This is what happens when the black community cry wolf or cry racism in instances that's not racism, to where now we have a hard time knowing the difference between what is actually racism and what is actually accountability. We've allowed this to happen because we do not like being held accountable for some of the ignorance, some of the degeneracy, some of the just plain right foolishness that comes out of our community. We refuse to address it. And when we have people who address it, they are called coons. They are called like judgmental. And so now you have white people entering the chat and said, you know what? We're tired of it. We're tired of being called racist for holding y'all accountable to the ignorant things that's happening.
She cooked. I mean, she pretty much summed it up. And I can't tell you how many times that I've been called out of my name by people that look like me, or they call me a sellout for wanting better for the black community. And there's so many different times that I've seen people cry wolf, that I've seen people fake, that I've seen people look for a Justice League, that I've seen the sisterhood come to the rescue and the aid of people that actually, a lot of them don't deserve it. Even the heroes that we celebrate and that we champion and that we get behind with these causes. And Black Lives Matters, which is in Marxist organization, and we start to think about the way that we vote in our communities and the fact that we don't necessarily take care of our neighborhoods. And a crime that is perpetuated is usually against us, but we don't come out to protest against that, and we don't hold the people that's in our communities accountable on that. We also know who the killers and the dealers and the people that are doing the worst in the community, but we refuse to work with the community. As a matter of fact, we say defund the police, but then we want justice and we want more funding to continue to do the things that's not best for us. Something got to give.
Drill, baby, drill, huh? Whatever happened to lowering those gas prices, Donald? We need some answers.
So, let me guess. You live in California. So, let me show you what I'm paying for gas over here, okay? Because I think you need to talk to your governor, not Trump. But let me show you what I'm paying. $2.69. That's what I'm paying right there. $2.69. Talk to your governor, not Trump.
I believe that Republicans must go boldly into every arena and stand up for what we know to be right and know to be true. We cannot recede. We cannot concede, not in politics, not in education, not in culture, and certainly not in the media. There are millions of men and women all over this country who have come to the Republican Party because we are now the party of the working class. We are the party that takes care of average, everyday people who are just trying to get up, go to work, pay their taxes, play by the rules, take care of their kids, leave the country a little bit better than they found it. And what is the other party looking out for? The illegals, the people who won't work, the people who are determined to put boys in girls' sports. They make a sport out of lying on television. My current favorite, the Maryland Man. Folks, he's as much as a Maryland man as Bobby Knight is a Kentucky Wildcat. The Republican Party is the party of common sense. We are the party of Western civilization, and we are the party that defends the fundamental and irreplaceable right to free speech at all costs. The president said, what the world has witnessed in the last 14 weeks is a revolution of common sense. That's all it is. He's built one of the most interesting coalitions in American political history. We have RFK, Elon, Jim Banks, Rand Paul, Todd Young, and Hulk Hogan. People are finally waking up to the barbarians who are at the gate all over this world. We're Republicans, and we fight for the United States of America.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This was obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement powers of prosecution against you and others. We believe that it's long past time for the American people to have a full and complete understanding of what exactly is in those files.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see. But this was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified. Is that correct? Would you
Yes, sir.
say? All declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, we'll put everything in the public eye.
Is anybody going to look? Huh? What about you? You going to look? And frankly, the FBI should be ashamed of themselves, and so should the Department of Justice, and so should Biden.
Bro, these are God's children, man. No, man. We don't. No, really? Yeah, these are God's children, man. Yeah, we don't. No, bro, just Jesus, man. He changed my life. Look, 4 years ago I had depression and anxiety, and I was gonna take my life, and Jesus encountered me and saved my life. What's your name? Nice to meet you, Stephen. Wait, before you leave, can I pray for you? 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Is that okay? Jesus, thank you for my man Stephen. God, bring conviction in his life. We thank you. Jesus, encounter him in dreams and visions. Amen. Yeah, it's just so crazy. Like, Sin City's insane, man. And, I mean, I remember when I first came to Vegas, there would be like U-Haul trucks with prostitution just on it. You could call a phone number and order a prostitute to your house. And it just breaks my heart because these are God's children. Every human being is valuable, not because they can do something for your life. Every human being isn't valuable because you can benefit from them. Every human being is valuable because they're made in the image of God. Which means they don't have to do anything to earn our love. Like, we didn't do anything to deserve God's love. He just freely gave it to us. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And in return, that's a heart posture that we can have. So when you come to a place like this, or you get in environments like this where, you know, God's children are being prostituted and there's sin all around you, you can still be the light because you're in covenant with Jesus Christ. This junk doesn't mean anything around you when your eyes are here. When your eyes are here, all this junk doesn't matter. It's very powerful. We got to stay strong and allow the Spirit of God to give us strength and truth.
We don't want kings. We want to save our republic, and it's about time that we do something about it. Yeah. And this is a great opportunity since it's the anniversary of Paul Revere's ride.
Okay.
So that's what that's about.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what has
the British, right? Yeah. Taxation without representation.
Okay.
They got rid of laws. They got rid of juries.
So, what has Trump done so far that you think he's a king?
Everything.
Name one.
Name one. Every single executive order which oversteps his powers. And he completely does not care whether it's legal or not. He's just pushing as much as he can. And he could care less, and we'll see if he obeys the courts. At this point, it doesn't appear that he's going to. And a king considers themselves the higher power.
Yeah.
And that's what he is.
Yeah. You know who Michael Moore is?
Yes.
Yeah, so he recently said that we shouldn't deport undocumented immigrants because they might cure cancer or diseases. Would you agree with him?
Of course. You know, our country has always depended on immigrants and people new to the country. This incredible amount of wonderful, intelligent, brilliant minds that the U.S. is going to lose by this ridiculous posturing.
So that argument sounds like a great argument for why we shouldn't kill babies in abortion, right? Because one day they might, you know, become a doctor and save lives, cure cancer.
Nope, I don't agree with you there.
No. So we shouldn't deport people because they might cure diseases, but we should kill babies even though they might cure diseases?
I completely take option that this is not killing babies. What do you mean by killing babies?
An abortion.
What do you mean by an abortion?
When an abortionist goes in and sucks out a baby that's growing in a woman's womb.
And are you one of those who thinks that life starts at the moment the sperm meets the egg?
I don't think. I know because that's what science says.
I'm a doctor, and that's not what science says. That's completely a religious belief.
So when does life begin?
When does life begin? Life begins... Life begins as a human being. Life begins at viability.
So how are they growing for 20 weeks before viability if they're not alive? Because dead things don't grow.
Well, there's something that is a plant's alive.
Yeah. But is a plant a human?
Well, so life is different than humans. So what you're really asking is not when life begins. You're asking when there is a definition of a human being. And the definition of a human being varies according to people's beliefs. Some people believe that it's at the moment the sperm meets the egg. Other people believe it's a quickening. Other people believe that it's a viability. So there is no scientific agreement about when human life begins.
96% of secular embryologists and biologists agree that life begins at the moment of conception, so they're non-religious, non-partisan. That is
It's human life.
Human life begins at conception.
No, they don't. They don't believe.
It's a study out of the University of Chicago. It's not religious at all. It's totally secular.
No, that's not true.
So how, if I miscarry at 8 weeks, that means my baby died. Therefore, they were growing and then they stopped growing because they died. So how is it not alive if I miscarry my baby at 8 weeks?
It's not a human life.
What is it? A frog? A hamburger?
It's an embryo.
An embryo of what?
An embryo that has the potential to become a human being, but it is not.
There are dolphin embryos. I know. You guys are always done.
Well,
when
how
the conversation,
I'm here for this.
Yeah, when the conversation gets a little bit tricky, you guys always walk away. You're a doctor and you don't know when life begins?
I do know when life.
Where did you get your degree? You need a refund.
You're not really listening to me. You've got your points that you want to make, and it's not really a dialogue. It really isn't. So I don't quite know what this is all about, but I'm here for the rally. I'm not here to, engage in this. So good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you guys seen this? This is exactly what I voted for. Donald Trump signed an executive order yesterday to build a national center for homeless veterans with funds previously spent on housing for illegal aliens. Now, for those of you who don't know this, there's about 32,000 homeless veterans living on the streets in America. And this number comes from the Department of Housing and Urban Development back in 2024. I seriously love the fact that Donald Trump is putting Americans first, especially our veterans. Not a single veteran should be living on the street. So once again, thank you, Donald Trump, for honoring your word. Promises made, promises kept. I can't wait to see how the liberals try to twist this one. God bless Trump.
What's happened since then is you now have 6 companies, 6 large multinationals that control every radio station in America and all of the television stations in America and 80% of the newspapers. The television news departments have become corporate profit centers. They no longer have an obligation to benefit the American public. So their only obligation is to their shareholders. How do they satisfy that obligation? By expanding viewership so they can sell more ad space. How do you expand viewership? Why, you do that by appealing to the prurient interest that all of us have in the reptilian core of our brain for sex and celebrity gossip. So they give us Lacey Peterson, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson, and lots of terror alerts because that gets viewership as well. But they're not telling us the real news that is affecting people in this country. The fact that today, 1 out of every 6 American women now has so much mercury in her womb that her children are at risk for a grim inventory of diseases, autism, blindness, mental retardation, heart, liver, kidney disease.
As a bitch that used to suffer with Trump deranged syndrome real bad, I pray y'all get deliverance because at this point, it's pretty clear. I have never had a president that made me excited to wake up on a Monday morning so I could see what he had not just done for my country, our country, but the whole world. President Trump announced several things last night on Truth Social, but I want to talk about the fact that he announced that on Mother's Day, that 21-year-old Eden Alexander, who had been held hostage since October of 2023, will be returning home to his mother and loved ones in New Jersey. Baby, I hated to hear Trump's voice. Now I wake up to see what is the goodness.
He died in about 2 hours from now, or sometime today, let's say. And again, they thought he was dead just a short while ago. His parents are so happy. They're so happy. So it's, as you know, Eden's the only American citizen was captured. And
There are 5 other Americans besides Eden Alexander that are being held hostage, but they are believed to be deceased.
My thing is, why are we giving you money and you don't even, you getting rid of it? Like, you don't even want the responsibility, okay? And we are rewarding women for terminating their pregnancy and then calling a man a deadbeat. So if the father doesn't want the baby, by law, he's forced to be responsible for the baby for 18 years. They make him pay child support. They'll put him in jail. They'll take his license, everything, if he doesn't want the baby. But if the mother doesn't want the baby, she gets to terminate the baby and get a pat on the back. And they call the father the deadbeat. But you the deadbeat, mama, not the daddy. You deaded the beat. You stopped the heartbeat. You're the deadbeat, not the man, not the dad. So, I mean, at the same time, they want equal rights. Well, if a woman should be able to abort a baby when she doesn't want it,
then the man should be able to walk away when he doesn't want it.
A man should be able to abandon the baby when he doesn't want it. And then we can be able to see how ridiculous all of this really actually sounds.
Let's not conflate it with being black. Otherwise, you'd have to defend Rachel Dolezal.
Well, there's no. Well,
would you defend it?
Well, there's no defending crazy. That's crazy. But
why is that crazy?
Hold on. Because she was a white woman that says she was black.
Yeah, that's a man saying he's a woman.
But let's back up.
If you're gonna say that a man can just be a woman, why can't Rachel Dolezal just be black? You got to be consistent.
Because she's white.
Okay, because it's a man.
No, but hold on. I get it.
You know I'm right.
I get it.
I'm right.
No, I don't agree. And this is not a matter of right or wrong.
But it is.
Hold on.
This one is.
Let me tell you.
Why isn't Rachel Dolezal black?
Because she's a white woman.
Okay, because it's a male or it's a female.
What?
An embarrassment is the fact that we rank highest among abortion, single-family households, STDs, and divorce. That's an embarrassment. An embarrassment is that we start GoFundMes for murderers. That's an embarrassment. It's embarrassing that kids know the songs to Cardi B's WAP but can't read or write. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that politicians get to say things like she keeps hot sauce in her bag or they're going to lock y'all back up in chains and they still get your vote. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that y'all still listen to rich celebrities telling you guys how oppressed you are. That's embarrassing. What's embarrassing is that you call me names like a bootlicker, a pick-me, a coon, but you went and lined up and got the shot not once, but 3 times. That's embarrassing. What's embarrassing is that you guys haven't woken up yet to the fact that you're being used to usher in the Antichrist one world Marxist agenda. That's embarrassing. You know it's not an embarrassment? Someone like me, someone who's free thinking, someone who knows that it's us versus them. It's freedom versus socialism. Yeah, I'm a Trump supporter. I voted for him. This is what I voted for. And I don't care what you think. You know why? Because I don't give a shit. I really don't. This is what I wanted. This is what I voted for. Okay? So what you can do is you can thank me later. How about that? Bye.
Every single Democrat voted against no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and most importantly, no tax on Social Security. So the next time they try to tell you they give a shit about you, remember this.
Look, we told you the next 100 days would consist of peace deals and trade deals, and that's exactly what we have seen. The president announced last week the big trade deal with the UK, as you mentioned. Now we have a first deal with China. Just yesterday, the president announced the release of the last remaining American hostage in Gaza, Eden Alexander, who will soon be united with his loving family. God bless him. That's thanks to President Trump. We also negotiated a ceasefire with the Houthis, and President Trump was instrumental in negotiating a ceasefire with India and Pakistan. This is all in the last week. President Trump and his team are working incredibly hard on behalf of the country and the world to secure peace deals and trade deals. And don't forget, we have a tax deal coming too. The administration is working with Capitol Hill to sign the largest tax cuts in American history right now.